Well, I have some good news. Spring's going to be here tomorrow. Might not look like it today, but today was much better than last night. So every day we get closer. I'd like to talk today about what we can do to have a happier life and help others, but it's all tied together. So it's the happier we are, the more we want to help others. The biggest thing is that happiness is not a destination. It's a journey. And it's something that's well worth taking the time to do it, but it is a journey. And I'm sure we all know people who seem like they're happy all the time. And we wonder how they do it. And somehow they found a way, whether they know it or not, to do some of the things we're going to talk about today. But for them, they enjoy the journey. And I think you will too. I'd like to share a few things that have helped me in my own search for happiness. And I think we all are still looking for that ourselves, but these are things that helped me. Your job today will be to think about things that help you and how these things might fall in line with what you do and what you want to do. For me, the first thing that's important is gratitude. When we think about gratitude, we want to be grateful for the things that we have, and we've got a lot of them, not what we lack for. If we really think about it, we can be grateful for the bed that we have, because there's plenty of people in the world that don't have a bed. We can think about the roof over our head. We can think about the people and be glad and be grateful for those that love us and those that we love. There's so many things that we can be grateful for, but it's really easy to go through life on all the things that life is doing and calling for us not to think about that. But it's something that when we do and we think about all that we're grateful for, we just find that we're happier because we know that we just have so much that has been given to us. And when we create a mindset of gratefulness, we create the process of the habit of being happiness, and we recognize things that are just there. It could be a sunny day, it could be flowers, it could be an answer to a problem that you've been wondering how to solve, and all of a sudden you get this great idea, and you're grateful for getting that idea. It could be getting hired for that job that you didn't think you were going to get. It could even be finding your glasses or finding your phone. How many have been there? I don't know about you, but I've looked around for my phone and it's not where I thought it was, and I come back later and guess what? There it is. But through it all, when we think about these things that happen, we realize that God has our back. The more we think about these things, the more we feel gratitude for those unexperienced things that bring us joy or bring us solutions to problems or opportunities. Those are what we call God winks, and the more we see these, the more we're grateful for them, the more we'll see. A God wink is what normally would be considered a coincidence, or it could be a lucky break, but it really isn't. That's God pushing us toward where we need to go. It's Him solving that problem. And all of a sudden we have this really weird idea. Where'd it come from? But it does solve our problem. It helps us find phones too. We take a few minutes every day to express gratitude, big and small. It helps us, and as with God winks, the more we express gratitude, the more we'll find things to be grateful for. I know I run into things, and I know people who do, when it can be something very simple. It's, oh, what a great day today. Thanks. Or something. But there's just so much. And take some time today. Think about the things that you can be grateful for, because they're all out there. The next thing that I found helpful was mindfulness. Mindfulness is slowing down, concentrating on the now and the present, just being present and letting everything else around you go around you. It doesn't matter, because this is the most important thing you're doing at this very moment. When we're doing this, sometimes we see solutions to things that we're otherwise too busy to do. And I don't know about you guys, but I have a bad habit of having a to-do list that's more to do than I can do both today and tomorrow. And it's hard to find those things that I really need to do. And when we slow down, it's like we don't worry about so much the small stuff, because most of it is the small stuff. And it helps us to recognize where we need to go in life, what we need to do, who we need to see. And it's like when you stop to smell the roses. When you do that, sometimes you recognize how many roses there really are. The next thing that I found important was love and connection. Humans thrive with connections with other humans. And when they're alone, when we're all alone, we miss that. And it is really important that we associate ourselves with people who are going to be uplifting for us, who make us feel good. Because then once we feel good, then we're more in a position to do something for others, see gratitude, etc. When we create meaningful relationships, it's really important that we spend time with those people we love. Sometimes those people we just met because you feel a connection, or between somebody that's done something for you and you want to make sure you express thanks. This is really best illustrated by a couple of stories. One is, when somebody's on their deathbed, you never hear them say, I wish I'd spent more time at the office. I wish I'd worked harder. What you do hear them say is, I wish I'd spent more time with the family. I wish I'd spent more time with those people that loved me so I could show it back. A sad story for me was, I had a gal that I grew up with, and she was a neighbor, but our families were real close, and we kept up with each other, and she was as close to sisters I've ever had. And we would see each other periodically from time to time and bring back memories, and it was just like you loved your sister. And we finally each got married and moved off to different places, and one day I was thinking about her. I haven't talked to Jane in such a long time. I wonder how she's doing. I better call her. Then the phone rang. I got busy with business and something else, and about a week later, I wonder how she's doing. This kept coming in. And I got busy, and it happened again. And then about a month later, I got a call from her sister to ask me to come to her funeral. So, excuse me. It just says that we do need to be, we do need to think about those people that we have a connection with, because it means a lot to them, and it really means a lot to you. Tony Robbins is famous for saying, if you want friends, first you have to be one. The next thing that I found is important for my happiness is to figure out what my purpose is. What am I supposed to be doing? But more than that, where do I get joy? Where am I passionate? Because when we are passionate about something, or when we feel we have a purpose, and we're making progress in that area, and we see some results of the things we've been doing, we feel good. We feel happiness. And it pays off. So then that's what we want to do. We find a purpose. We keep on working on it. But it's a calling for all of us to always say, what am I passionate about? Last night, as I was thinking about this discussion, I turned around and looked in the mirror and I said, okay, Bill, what are you passionate about? And I realized there were two things that I was passionate about. One was scouting, and one was unity. I was an Eagle Scout, and I personally saw what great things scouting does for young men, how it trains them, and they appreciate others, they work hard, et cetera, et cetera. And so today I take joy in being on the Scout board and helping Scout grow, especially into the inner city, where today that produces the most great results, and that's where it's needed. In the case of unity, I feel called to do what I can to help this church grow because it helped me find my spiritual purpose. So, and I like to share that. Each of us has things like that we just need to find them. And take some time to do that. Be passionate, and just be sensitive to things that you're called for. Don't ignore them. Don't be too busy. Take the time to think about it. If you feel really drawn to something that you enjoy or that you want to try, go for it. You'll find it's worth it. Mike is a good example. For those who are new, Mike Roque is our pastor. And Mike was in our church for 20 years. And he ran Sunday school for 5 years. He was on the board. He was the president of the board. He did everything. And he suddenly thought, he wanted to become ordained. And, he put it off because I'm just a regular guy. I don't need to do that, or I don't deserve it, or he got busy. But finally, he did it. He went for it, and he got ordained. And now we benefit from that because, yes, he was a member for 20 years, but now he's our spiritual leader, and he does a hell of a job. So, but you can do the same. Think about what you are passionate for. What would you like to do? Even if something that you have a passion for, but you think, I don't know about that. Maybe I'd like to try it. Go for it, because it takes some experimentation. The last thing that was really important to me was service. When we're serving other people and we see the results, it's really fulfilling. And that help that we give somebody, it ripples through time and things that happen that we'll never know. We give kindness and positivity to somebody, and it spreads. When you're happy When you help one person, hopefully they turn around and help somebody later. The reality is that when we do this, we may be happy about what goes on right now, but we will never know how much that person ultimately benefited from what you did, or how many other people benefited from what you did. It's very much like if you're a parent, I'm sure you've gone through this, where when your kids get teenagers or sub-teenagers, you want to share your wisdom with them. You want to tell them things they need to know in life and things that'll hopefully help them. And so often we get the look or the eye roll. And it comes here and it comes out there. And we know we've tried, and we know that probably won't have any difference, but sometimes we're surprised. I had my daughter, when she was 22, she said, "Dad, do you remember when I was 16, you told me such and such?" And I said, "No, that was 6 years ago." And don't faint. She says, "Well, I do, and it's really helped me ever since." But I would have never known if she hadn't said that. And normally, you don't. And in full disclosure, that was the only time she ever said that. But we try. And we have to take some happiness in knowing that we did try, and sometimes we see the results and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're feeling down because we don't see ourselves as being special or doing anything special. We might see some friends that have gotten a new job, or you read them in the newspaper, or some other thing, and you see them doing stuff, and you just look in the mirror and you don't feel like you measure up. But we must remember that we do things every day that are going to have miraculous results beyond our comprehension, because we'll never see it. But it does happen. An example is in the Bible, we've read about King David and all the wonderful things that he did. But before he was king, he was just a lowly little shepherd boy. Spent his time all day, every day, looking at sheep. Nobody would look at him and think he was going to be anything else but an old man shepherd boy. But ultimately, he became the king. So something really significant had to happen to change his trajectory of life from going from just a lowly shepherd boy up to king. But actually, it wasn't all that significant. Somebody just said something. Saul, who was king at that time, had nightmares, and he couldn't sleep. And he was looking for somebody who could play music for him, and soothing music, help him sleep. And he also wanted to find somebody that could help him interpret dreams, because that was a big thing back then. And a servant girl heard that discussion, and she happened to say, "I know somebody." And she recommended that he go talk to David. And that one conversation changed the world. He was invited into the palace, and he did play the lyre and was very soothing, and he stayed there for a long time, and one thing led to another, and he became king. And it's a good example of how this person who said, I know somebody, she didn't even see the results right away, because all she knew was this lowly boy came in and was playing music. But it went on, and it became far greater than she would ever know. So, okay, let's talk about what we normally might see. Let's say that you see your neighbor. She's getting in her car, and you compliment her on how good she looks, and it makes her feel good. She gets in her car and drives off, and all of a sudden she feels more comfortable and confident than she was when she left the house. But she was going to a job interview that she really didn't think she was qualified for, but she went, and she aced it because she felt really good. So she gets this job, and later she has money. She donates money to the to Salvation Army or Goodwill. They take that money and they train homeless people, and they help them to see how they can change their lives for the better. They can get jobs. They can take care of their family. Do something they can be proud of, and on and on and on. But when you talk to the neighbor, you didn't know about the homeless man. But that's what happens. So this strange chain of events happens, and we'll never know about that. But we can feel happy that we know it does happen. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough that what we do has a big impact on others. Maybe big, maybe small, but it does have impact, and we have done some great things. So, to have a happy life, just remember that we're made in God's image. And if we're good enough to be loved by God, just as we are, warts and all, we're good enough, then we're good enough for everything. And especially, we're good enough to have a happy life. Thanks.